Peace and love, y'all. Welcome to a brand called Me. I am your host, Chris Roll, and on this show, you will learn how to build your personal brand, become your best self, and make a living doing what you love. Let's get this party started. Peace and love, y'all. I'm back with another episode. Today, we are going to walk down the path of a brand called Jullien. Total transparency, I've known Jullien since like 2008. We was introduced to by a mutual friend. But ever since then, we've been brothers and we've been business partners. He's been my coach, peer mentor. Jullien, on one of my birthdays, called me and I wasn't in the best mood. And he said, and I was letting him know my birthday. This dude drove out to Queens, picked me up, and took me to dinner, man. Small thing, but I never forgot that, man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, in addition to your heart, is your mind. You know, your mind. You're a brilliant man, and I'm happy to be sitting down with you. Do you see yourself as a brand?
Yes, I see myself as a brand. Originally, when I started, it was Jullien Gordon, and then I wanted to create something that lived beyond me, and so I evolved it into brands that could exist beyond me. Because even when I look at Oprah, and I know you reference Oprah a lot, she's been able to weave her personal brand into her business brands, from OWN being Oprah Winfrey Network to Harpo being her production company, which is her name backwards. She's on the cover of all the O magazines, right? But then what happens to that brand once she transitions? If I was going to use my life force energy while I was here, I wanted it to go into something that could actually last beyond me. And so I moved away from JullienGordon.com as the brand and started to expand into larger brands that I felt could live beyond me. 2 master's degrees? No, 2 degrees from Stanford. Yes.
Right, one in business, one in education. So to me, driving school for life was like a merger of that, left and right brain, where it was something that was about education. But it was also about, how to start businesses. So talk a little bit about that, and then we'll walk up to where you presently are.
Yeah, so it really started for me on the internet with a blog at JullienGordon.com, JullienGordon.blogspot.com.
Okay, wow.
It started for me with Blogspot.
Wow.
And I was just sharing insights that I was getting about life as I was on my own journey of personal development. We had both done Landmark Forum, and I was really into self-development at that time. And so when I would read books and learn insights, I would just share them via blog posts. I was getting a lot of reach, especially on blogs like 66 Things to Do Before You Graduate, things of that nature. That whole blog post became a speaking tour. Because once colleges saw that, or students at colleges and leaders at colleges saw that, they said, do you have a presentation on that? I was like, now I do, right? I got a presentation on that. And that actually led to my first speaking engagement. So it all started out with blogging, but I left Stanford, and at the time I was building a tech company. It was called Millennia, and we raised some money, but it wasn't ready to support me once we graduated. And so I went and took a job at a nonprofit at MLT, where I was doing marketing for them for about 18 months. And then on November 10th, 2008, I sent out that email that you got, and it was inviting 10 people to come to my living room for a one-day experience called Driving School for Life. And when I sent out that email, little did you know, is that I had nothing planned for November 22nd. I sent out the email November 10th from the job, but I had nothing planned. But I got RSVPs on the 10th. So that's actually what launched me into really being fully committed into my purpose. And so you came November 22nd, along with a few other people who, a lot of them are still in my life today. And once I saw the impact that had on you and them, I went on to teach that particular program in several cities across the country to hundreds of young professionals. And then I got started getting invited to speaking engagements. My first speaking engagement, paid speaking engagement, was $2,500 at University of Michigan Ross School of Business for the undergrads. And from there, I knew that there was something there where I could walk in my purpose every single day. And I positioned myself, and I quit my job January 9th, 2009. So literally like 45 days after that first workshop, and I've been on this journey ever since. And as you know, there's been many evolutions. And my goal is always to stay in alignment with my creator, because I know if I stay in alignment with my creator, I can't fail. And so even when I've pivoted in terms of my brand, it hasn't because it's not a money chase. It's because I felt like creator told me, go this direction, and the creator tells me, even if it's the opposite direction of what I'm doing, I am obedient and I'm going to move in that. And so now those transitions are hard, because you've been building momentum in a certain direction, and then you get a divine download that says, nope, go here now. If you look at it from a bird's eye view or from a God's eye view, it looks zigzag. But at the same time, it's actually all been going in the same direction, and I actually needed to go on this zig to learn a skill set that I needed for this zag.
Did you always knew that you were zigging and zagging along the way?
No. So when you solve a problem for people, it creates another problem for them. So if I help you make $1 million, and all of a sudden your next challenge is, what do I do with this excess cash that I have, right? If I help you find dates, like dating is dope, I help you find quality men or women, then the next problem is, how do I actually keep them and build a sustainable relationship? So every problem you solve creates a new problem. So first, it started off with helping people find their purpose. I was great at doing that. The challenge that came up after people had gotten clarity about their purpose was, how do I make money doing this, right? And so I said, maybe people don't have to quit their jobs, because it was the beginning of the last recession. So I didn't want to challenge people to quit their jobs at that time. So that's when the career change challenge came on, right? And so I was like, okay, how do you just change your career to something that is more in alignment with your purpose and allows you to make more money? Then that led to Be Paid. For those who wanted to be entrepreneurs, that led to the Be Paid program. And that was a business planning program, so that you could get clarity on what your business was, the problem you solved, who you were serving, what the financials would look like, and things of that nature. And so now I had 2 different programs. It started off with Driving School for Life, getting clarity on purpose based on my first book, The 8 Cylinders of Success. So books have been really critical to my brand pivots. And then I was serving employees and entrepreneurs at the same time. I was speaking at colleges, and then those college speaking engagements ended up leading to speaking at corporations as well. And I am creating something that is going to exist beyond me. The inspiration behind all of my movements has been Alcoholics Anonymous. I had a parent who went through that particular program. I went to an open meeting, and I witnessed how it was a very flat organization, very little leadership, and it was a process that was helping people stay sober. And when I really look at Alcoholics Anonymous, it's probably the #1 personal development organization in the entire world. There's meetings happening all over the country every single day, every single night. And if we looked at its actual impact, it's probably the #1 personal development organization in the world. And so I wanted to model myself after something like that. So that's where the 30-Day Do-Its came from, creating processes that allow people to transform their lives without it being dependent on me, right? Again, so stepping away from the personal brand and trying to create something that was bigger than just me. Create these groups, because I realized that personal development is not personal, right? Well, a lot of us try to grow by ourselves, but I found that I grow the fastest in the context of community. And so that's why masterminds were so powerful for me, and that's why Multifamily Movement, that's why we are a mastermind. Not only is there the larger mastermind within our system, but there's also the local masterminds as well that meet and help one another, so you're not going on this journey alone. I was speaking at colleges and companies, my income was increasing, my fee was increasing, and I would take the excess income and I would actually put that into real estate. As I was buying more property in New Orleans, etc., people started calling me.
Right.
Like Jullien, you called me, and you were the first person that I ever helped close on a property outside of myself. And once I saw that impact and that what that would do for you and your family in terms of generational wealth, I realized that I could teach it. And while I was pushing masterminds, I was getting more questions and DMs and calls around what I was doing in real estate. So being in line with spirit and seeing where the energy was flowing the easiest, because we're often taught to take the path of most resistance, right? The struggle is real. I don't believe that. You go the path of least resistance, that means that you're in alignment, right? With entrepreneurship, there's so many factors to a successful company that I couldn't always get the same result for everybody who was in the mastermind. But in terms of real estate, it was a clear, defined finish line.
Right.
And that's why I'm so critical on tracking our results, right? And so right now we're at 792 people who've closed on over $300 million worth of real estate in just the past 4 years. With entrepreneurship, I couldn't track that result as easily and say that because of my presence in this world and in these people's lives, this has been the result. And so I really love that. But it's always been around at the core. One of my core values is not only God, but community and purpose. And so the reason real estate is so powerful because it allowed me to stay in my God-given purpose instead of worrying about rent in New York. I went from paying expensive rent in New York to being paid expensive rent in New York. And so that freed me to stay in this space, especially the early stages of stepping into your purpose where the money isn't coming consistently yet. It freed me to walk in my God-given purpose and stay in that rather than paper chasing. And so that's what led to the multifamily movement. And now that is a solid business, what is coming out and emerging even more is my spiritual side, right? And so that led to the book, Rich and Righteous, Spiritual Secrets to Mastering Money Manifestation in Your Mind, because behind my real estate portfolio, right, that's just the outward manifestation. As you said, it's the mindset that is actually more powerful. But I knew that in order for people to hear what I had to say on the spiritual side, I had to manifest materially first so that I could even get their eyes, attention, and ears. But the only reason I'm able to manifest in that way from a real estate standpoint is because of what's up here. And so now I feel comfortable introducing that to them because I have proof that it actually works through not only my own life, but through the lives of those who I've transformed.
I don't always know if it's my thought or if it's a God thought. And how do you differentiate, or how you've been able to differentiate, all right, I got to listen to this, or is that just me? And how do you make that differentiation?
Yeah, so for me, it starts with meditation first thing in the morning, right? Before I even get out of bed, the first thing I do is I sit up and I go straight to the Creator, right? God, what do you want me to do today? The most powerful prayer that I've shared, and it's in Rich and Righteous, is 3 words. It's be me, God. I want God to use me every single day. And so I'm not asking God for anything. I'm asking God, and I'm giving God permission to use me and allow me to be an extension of it, right? I'm a resource for the source. And so I just know that why would my Creator create me for a purpose and then not give me everything I need to succeed at that purpose? That would be a cruel creator, right? I'm gonna create you for a purpose, then I'm gonna put all these obstacles in your way to make sure that you can't achieve the purpose that I created you to do. That doesn't make any sense. And so this has been a faith walk. And in the zigging and zagging, I've actually cannibalized some of my businesses. All I want to do every single day is be in alignment and be used in the highest way possible. In real estate, we have a term called highest use or best use for a piece of land, right? Well, the land that I have is my mental real estate, and I want this to have the best use or the highest use every single day. And the good differentiator between a divine thought and an egoic or selfish thought is an egoic thought is usually, is this good for me? Right? Is this good for me? A divine thought usually blesses other people. It's the greatest good for others.
A brand called we?
A brand, there you go. A brand called we. A divine thought usually is going to create the greatest good for not just you, but for others. But what I found is a secret to success is actually service. When I serve first, all my needs are met. Matthew 6:33, seek ye first the kingdom of God and all its righteousness, and all these things will be added unto you. Walk in your God-given purpose, do what you were called to do, and then all these things that you wanted, all of them will be added unto you. I'm seeking to be a walking and living demonstration that that path is actually the most safe and secure when you are in alignment with what your Creator called you to do.
Now, what has been your learning around the numbers? One of the first speaking gigs was $2,500. Did you know to charge started that rate? How'd you come up with
and that was low, right? You know, when you're first getting out there, you test the waters and you just throw out a number, and that number is really a reflection of how valuable you think you are, right? Over time, you realize that I'm actually solving a real problem here, and there's a couple ways in terms of pricing. A couple things that happened in terms of my speaking pricing. First, I realized that it wasn't just about the hour speech. Okay, it was actually about the moment that I left home, the moment I left my family.
Right.
That's when I start charging you.
Oh, right.
And so while I may be speaking on stage for an hour, I actually start billing you the moment I leave the house, right? Because now you're taking me out of what I would naturally be doing on that day. The other thing I had to think about was how costly is it to a college to go acquire another student if this student drops out? And if your tuition is $60,000 and my speech gets one student at an audience to stay, right, for the second semester, that's another $30,000 in revenue that I just saved you because of my speech. And that's just if one student is retained by what I say. But money isn't the only metric. People value, we talked about health, wealth, and relationships, right? How much more life and joy is this person going to be able to have because you helped them create a meal plan that was actually better for them when diabetes has run in their family for a long period of time. How valuable is it as someone to find their divine partner, which is the work we're doing with Dating is Dope, right? How valuable is that? You can't always monetize something, but that is really valuable, especially if somebody has been alone, been struggling in the dating world, and has gone through a lot of tough relationships. Then finding a divine partner who they're going to be able to live out their life with forever is extremely valuable, and there's probably no price tag, right? Because at the end of the day, people don't want money. We want what we think money can get us. You can't eat money. You can't drink money. You can't stay warm with money. People are actively on Amazon.com right now looking for ways to give away their money because it's not the money that we want. It's the result or the outcome that we actually want. And so once we realize that when we can create a result in somebody's life, that we can get paid for it. So in Rich and Righteous, I teach two methodologies. It's called your blessing model and your business model. Your blessing model is how you give your gift to the world, okay? And then your business model is how you receive back for that. So we start with your inputs, which is your personal capital, your intellectual capital, your social capital, your financial capital, your human capital, and your physical capital. This is what you have. This is what's in you and what's around you. You have to turn those inputs into some sort of output, which is a product or a service. A brand called me. Your consulting service is a service, right? That's an output. That output then creates an outcome for the particular customer. So you've helped grow some extremely big brands, right? And so your outputs, which is your service, created an outcome for that person. And based on the value of that outcome, you were able to get income. Right? And so your income will always be proportional to the size of the problems that you solve for other people. And if you're only flipping burgers, right, then guess what? You're not solving a huge problem, and therefore you don't get paid a lot. And so when you look at some of the world's wealthiest people, whether that's Bill Gates, whether that's Jeff Bezos, right, Elon Musk, they're solving huge problems. A lot of people talk about, oh, I hate the rich, this and that. Well, you haven't solved the problem nearly as big as they've solved. Bill Gates was able to help bring computers to mass market, right? Elon Musk is solving three major problems. He's solving the solar energy problem, right? Getting us off of fossil fuels, right? He's solving problems in terms of the electric cars, right? And then if none of those work, then he's solving the problem of how do we get off this planet and get somewhere else. Those are three huge problems, right? And then Jeff Bezos, he solved a distribution problem. Amazon isn't a product-based company, though they have Amazon Basics or whatnot, but he solved a distribution problem that now allows you to basically get whatever you desire in one day. Right? That's a distribution problem, and he decided to solve that problem at a large scale. This is why they're wealthy. Not because they're white, not because they're a man, not because they had money given to them. Those things may have helped, but that's not the core reason, because there's a lot of people who fit those categories who
broke.
Exactly. So it's about the size of the problems that you're solving for other people and the quality of your solution.
Gotcha. And when you made that click in terms of that, would you say that was from school, or there was a mentor with that click around?
Unfortunately, Stanford Business School did not teach me how to market or sell. Stanford Business School prepares people to go market and sell, prepares people to go work for other companies and to work for entrepreneurs, not to be entrepreneurs. And what happened for me is I got a divine download as I was having difficulty with selling, especially on the internet. Divine download came to me, and it was a new definition of sales. And the definition was, because sales can be perceived as this sleazy thing. You're trying to get over on somebody.
Right.
You're not trying to get over on somebody. You're trying to help somebody get over a challenge that they're having, right? And so once I defined sales as sales is simply the process of getting someone to accept help.
Getting someone to
accept help. That's all sales really is. And if I have a solution, right, especially in the multifamily movement, I have a solution to help you get rid of your rent expense, to help you save on taxes, to help you live for free, right? But I have to sell and convince you about this solution that I have. That's the process of selling. And the reason I'm comfortable selling you is because I know that I can get you to your goals faster, safer, and easier than you can if you go and try to do it on your own.
Gotcha.
So it's actually my moral obligation to sell you because I know I can help you better than you can help yourself in this particular moment.
Gotcha. And then what's the biggest hurdle in regards to that? You said getting people to accept help, almost like people don't want help.
Yeah, so, especially in the biggest issue right now is that we're in this information age, right? And everything is at your fingertips. We have YouTube University, and so everybody thinks they can DIY something, right? They think they can go learn it on YouTube, but the real value is in the nuances. YouTube is going to teach you high level stuff, but let's say you want to buy multifamily real estate. You're saying, oh, I'm just going to watch some YouTube videos. I'm not going to join Jullien's program. Well, that YouTube video might teach you the high level, but it's not going to teach you the nuances of how to negotiate with a seller and actually get the price reduced by $30,000 and what you have to do in that 10-day inspection period and what documentation you need to submit in order to convince the seller to come down on the price. It's not going to give you all those details. It's in the nuances. Heaven is in the details.
Right.
And YouTube on a 30-minute episode or something, even HGTV. A lot of people think they know real estate because they watch episodes of HGTV. No. What I found is that I grow the fastest in community when there are people around me to hold me accountable to that which I said I wanted to do for my life. And so when I don't accept a student into the multifamily movement unless they are willing to commit to being held accountable even when they don't want to, because I know that once they get to the result, they're going to be happy that they did it, even if they were, even if they resisted on the front end.
What's your thoughts on the personal brand? Because you're selling through your personal brand, right?
Yeah, so my Instagram page is still Jullien Gordon, right? It's not a business. So the people, they trust me. So I recently raised $4.3 million in 4 weeks, right? In the midst of a recession. So people trust me.
Right.
They trust my heart, they trust my mind, they trust my integrity, and so they trust me. So even if I went and created another company that I do believe could grow bigger than me, they follow me because they trust who I am. Right. I am at the core, I'm the heartbeat of every brand that I've created, and they trust my heart. And so it does come back to my personal brand, but in order to have impact that transcends culture, I do want to create something and actually create an organization that actually has my heartbeat. I want to create an organization and a culture that has my heartbeat, because then that heartbeat can last beyond me. Because if something happened to me today, tomorrow, I don't want the work and the impact to stop. Right. So the challenge for a visionary leader is to replicate themselves in the SOPs and in the culture of an organization that can live beyond them.
Talk about what is the multifamily movement?
Yeah, so the multifamily movement, I thought it was just a real estate movement at the beginning, and it was, but it's evolved beyond that. The multifamily movement is multiple families coming together to create regenerational wealth. And the first asset that we are happening to acquire together is multifamily real estate. But the multifamily is less about real estate, and it's about multiple families working together. And so ultimately, we want to create 100,000 millionaires. That would total $100 billion, and that would make us the 5th wealthiest family in the world today. Wow. And so that is the vision and the mission over the next 30 years is to create 100,000 millionaires in terms of net worth and become one of the wealthiest families in the world collectively, not through biology, but through shared consciousness and shared vision and goals. And so that's where we're at right now. And again, real estate is just the first asset class that we are seeking to acquire together, because I know that once you get rid of your housing expense, you have cash flow, you have passive income through multifamily real estate, you have all the tax benefits and the appreciation. That is really the single most powerful financial move that you can make to create wealth for your family over time. Real estate is not a get rich quick scheme. There are some fast paths to cash in real estate. You might do wholesaling, you might do flipping, etc. But when we're talking about generational wealth, right? Because at the end of the day, if you flip a home or you do a wholesale deal, what are you left with? You're left with cash. And what is cash? It's flat cotton.
Gotcha.
Right? And so you still have to figure out what to do with that cotton again. So once we acquire these physical assets, which is multifamily real estate, that is the foundation of us building wealth together. And then from there, we learn how to increase our active income. We learn tax strategies. We learn about how to leverage life insurance, etc. And when you pair all of these plays together, you're almost guaranteed over time to actually become millionaires and to set your family up for generational wealth. I expect to help these families for the rest of my life to the best of my ability.
You know, a brand is trust. Pretty much.
That's the basis of it.
And I always say branding is consistency. People know that you're consistent, you constantly show up, and I'm gonna get the same thing every time. Has the brand and the reputation ever been affected, or you thought it was affected, and it was like, wow, that was kind of the biggest breakthrough or the biggest lesson that you take away?
Man, my brand has not really taken any hits. It hasn't taken any hits from the outside, except I felt when I was zigging and zagging that it was, but because people were following me, it didn't matter what idea or what direction I was going, people were following me. So when I was called or guided by God to move in a certain direction, it's like, dang, for real? Again, that momentum, you were building up in a certain direction. But I haven't had any like external hits to the brand at this moment in time, and I'm grateful for that.
Have you ever had to exercise resiliency?
The biggest thing for me was how to position my divorce online. So part of my brand and one of my values is family, and so that had been key to my brand for so long. But you know, my relationship did not end up working out, and so. I hid it for quite some time, and then it was actually freeing to just announce it. Just announce it. And I don't think I was pretending, but some things are private. For me, I typically keep my brand centered on 3 categories, which is Black wealth, Black love, and Black spirituality. And even those 3, sometimes there can be brand confusion to the end user, especially if you came to me because you were attending metaphysical Bible study or you read Rich and Righteous, then you're like, what's he doing talking about relationships? Or you came to me through real estate, you're like, what's he doing talking about spirituality? There are people who in my comments stick to real estate. I'm like, what do you mean stick to real estate? The reason I do real estate because this is my God-given work to do. Like that. Imagine people telling Jesus, stick to carpentry. Right? No, everything that's at the back of everything I do is spiritual, right? So you just don't fully understand. And so based on if there's these 3 doors to come in, it's how do I create a cohesive narrative that says you came in through this door, but this is what's actually available here for you, and they are all one thing. They all work together. People have been trying to solve these individual problems in isolation, and the vision that I have is that they actually all are integrated. And so when you start to solve the problem over here, you're actually solving the problem over here. If I'm able to help somebody, we know that more married couples buy real estate than anything. So if I actually help you to find divine union, then that actually gives you more economic income to actually go make real estate investments, right? If I help you get real estate, then it actually frees you up to walk in your God-given purpose. So they're all interconnected for me. But that's the biggest challenge that I have right now is trying to create a cohesive narrative for somebody if they come through certain, these 3 different entry points, that it's all the same. I'm not confused. I'm very clear on that, and just communicating that clarity to the larger market.
What would you say is your superpower?
My superpower, I believe, is creating community.
Gotcha.
It's creating community. And whether that is Multifamily Movement, whether that's the Dating is Dope community, whether that is Metaphysical Bible Study and the spiritual community, I'm blessed to create communities. I grew up in community.
Yeah.
You know, I have 9 last names: Gordon, Carl, Ash, Premish, Shields, Hopkins, Brown. These are all the families that raised me growing up. So that whole notion of it takes a village to raise a child, I actually had that village. And it was a very special thing. And I want other people to have that experience. So community is really, really important to me.
I know, you and I have been, and you've mentioned Dating is Dope as a part of the work that you're doing multifamily, because it's not just about the real estate, it's about building families.
Yeah.
So talk a little bit about the work of Dating is Dope.
How do we create regenerational wealth if we don't have families to create children? Who are you going to pass all these assets down to, right? So that's really critical. And 70% of the multifamily movement is Black women. And they're not all married, and they communicate to me that they are having challenges navigating the road with their higher incomes, and men not being ready to marry or desiring to marry. People need to be introduced to the 100-hour rule. They need to be introduced to the 30-day check-ins. They need to be introduced to all of these questions that we have that should be unfolding. They need to be introduced to dates that deepen instead of dates that entertain, right? And if we just gave them just those 4 things, and they applied those 4 things, it would change this dating environment. I got tired of all the toxic podcasts that only talk about the problem and are actually creating division between man and woman as opposed to creating unity. And so I'm always focused on solutions, and I believe we have a very powerful solution. So now the challenge that we have is, how do we scale this solution? How do we get it out to more people? And so I'm excited about that.
I played with the concept of brand called Me, in that it's not just about self, that I am a brand. It's really an affirmation that I should approach myself, that it's not always about everyone else, but it's also about me as well. But it's also that the phone call came in, that a brand called me. A brand called me. So
I love that.
So in terms of when the phone rings and people want to partner and work with you, any lessons there in terms of determining who brands you will work with? I know you've done various projects or speaking engagements. Do you have some sort of criteria around when you say yes?
The number 1 criteria is, do you have results? Do you have results? There's a lot of scamming going on in our space right now, especially when it comes to financial products and financial courses. Typically, when I'm in a brand partnership, you actually have to do the work with me first. So if you want to bring this tax strategy to our community, you have to show it to me first.
Thinking about brand partnerships or looking for love, Black love, or trying to build Black wealth and things, that all of the blessings that you bestow on the community. How do they connect with you?
The best way is Jullien Gordon at Instagram. So that's Jullien Gordon, Gordon. I get a lot of inquiries. So whatever you type in that message, you have to come correct, or else I just won't respond. I just don't have the time of day. So people say, "Oh yeah, call me." What? Call you about what? Right? You're like, no, I need some details, and I'm gonna do a quick search on you, and if I don't see anything credible, then I'm just gonna keep it pushing. It has nothing to do personally with you. You may be doing something great, but my time is limited and invaluable, and so I have to be very strategic about how I use it.
Bars. Bars. Appreciate you, brother.
Love you, bro.
Yes, sir.
Love you, yes, sir.
Love you, King.